Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I get to welcome back our good friend, actor, writer, director, Ben Immanuel, and he's brought with him actor, writer, director, Gabrielle Miller. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I know, I'm so excited. So we've got a new movie. I've been watching it today. It's called Are We Done Now? Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Where'd the idea come from? What's the movie about?
Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody's favorite time, 2020, an executive producer friend of mine I'd worked with before said, "Why don't we do something about what's going on in the world right now?"
Yeah.
And I said, I have no interest in making anything about the pandemic, and then spent the next 3.5 years doing exactly that. So we don't like to say that the film is about COVID or the pandemic. It's really
Right.
not. It's about the shared experiences that these characters are going through at that time. There was a lot of change and a lot of turmoil in the world, and everything that was sort of under the surface really seemed to rise up through those times. So for most of us, it was some people were just chilling and watching Netflix, and some people were going through major turmoil in their lives, and sometimes it's dramatic and sometimes it's funny, but it was all very real.
Yeah, and it was such an interesting time because none of us had ever been through anything like that. Hopefully, we'll never have to go through that again in our lifetime, anyway.
Yeah.
And it honestly wasn't that bad for the first couple of weeks we were stuck at home, and then it got old really fast.
Yeah.
You had to figure
Yeah.
stuff out pretty. Once you were done making bread or having your Zoom cocktail hours, you had to do something, and that was
Yeah.
difficult on all of us. And we all went a little stir crazy there for a little while,
Or a lot stir
or a
crazy.
lot stir crazy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I
Gabrielle,
mean,
what was your role in the movie? And if I can say, you're terrific in it. Absolutely
Thank
love
you.
your character. It was like if you wanted to make a series out of that character, I'd watch that.
Thank you.
absolutely.
I play a character named Pamela Givers,
Yeah,
and she is a therapist to the main characters
yeah,
on the series. So, and she also is going through her own personal stuff on top of COVID. She's struggling um, with family stuff and job stuff, relationship stuff. And anyway, she's kind of the center for the younger characters to connect to. And Ben plays one of my clients as well. Hey, Ben.
hmm the premise is that Gabe's character Pamela is a therapist to all the characters in the film, although none of
yeah.
us know each other. And my character is having a really hard time. My character is an sort of a failed filmmaker, and or a hopeful filmmaker, a tenacious filmmaker, I should say.
As your
And
therapist, I prefer
yeah,
the
That's right.
tenacious hopeful.
yeah, yeah,
Very positive. You have to have that positive self-talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea is that Pamela, the character, has suggested to my character, Dove, that it would be a good idea to document what's going on, because there's a quote from Viktor Frankl, a famous author, psychologist, Holocaust survivor. And he says, suffering ceases to be suffering when we find meaning. And, I think that's an extremely true thing. And for you, Michael, doing a podcast, you connect with people, you converse with people, you share ideas, and no matter how hard things are, it feels good to make those human
It
connections.
does.
So that's really the premise of the film. Above all, again, we tell people don't come and feeling like you're going to have to revisit everything boring and irritating about the pandemic. It's not a
Yeah, it's not
political
that.
film. It's
No,
not
it's
about
more of a backdrop.
it's a
Totally.
backdrop. If, like people are living their lives, and while they're living their lives, they might be, having to keep 6 feet away from each other. They might be have a mask on, or they might be trying to find hand sanitizer, or they might be at home like drinking and drugging a little bit too much or baking bread. But those are just the activities they're doing while they're living their lives that carry
Yeah.
on
COVID's
regardless
not a
of.
main character, right?
Mhm.
Would you agree with
That
that,
is
Ben?
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I really enjoyed it, and the reason I love you as a writer, Ben, is that your characters are always so relatable, and it just it felt like things that all of us were going through. Maybe not exact, but in that realm, so you can relate to the characters, which makes you like the characters.
Thank you. That's our hope, and the film was made in a very collaborative way with the cast. So the actors brought vital parts of their own lives to things. And my hope with the film is not only will audiences find a character to relate to that they feel, oh, this is kind of like me or what I went through, but they'll see other characters and understand them more and understand what they're going through. We all know when we talk about what a divided world we're living in, um, at such an extreme, disconcerting kind of level of conflict and inability for people to come together. We hope that this film, in a little tiny way, if it helps to kind of help people see each other a little bit more and have more empathy for each other, and not turn away and roll their eyes from people who are different, but actually have a chance to take a peek inside, then we've done our job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Gabrielle, this isn't the first time you and Ben have worked together. What
No.
motivates you to keep signing up for that punishment?
Oh God. Ben, listen, Ben and I have, first of all, we've been friends for, over a couple decades now.
Oh wow.
And Ben and I have collaborated many times, and it's really a place where I feel creatively very free,
Yeah.
very heard and guided in the way that really works for me when I'm putting together a character and working through the ins and outs of the story. Ben is just, to me, is just a beautiful person to work with on that level. He's so as soon as, I mean, I was here. I met in a little town in the middle of the mountains in British Columbia.
Yeah.
Ben gave me a call and said, "Listen, I've got this idea and was wondering if you wanted to take part." And right away I was like, yes, always, right? Yeah, we have a ton of fun together, and we have a shorthand. It's easy to work
Well,
together.
I love the fact that Ben, you use a lot of the same people in your projects, and I always enjoy when writers and directors do that. As fans, we love seeing the same groups together, especially if something you did really connected with us. Then yeah, we're happy to see you back in whatever capacity it is. And
Well,
I
that's
had
great.
several people that have worked with you on before. And one thing that they all say is that you have a very collaborative type of process. And yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you about that, Gabrielle. Do you find that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and this project in particular, um, the collaboration was more like character development and on set how we worked through the scenes. A lot of the incredible young actors and artists he put together for this film collaborated a lot on story, if that's correct, Ben. My character that was not what I did with my character. My character was drawn and developed by Ben.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I wrote the dialogue for Gabe, but once it goes to the actor, especially an actor like Gabe, it grows and it becomes something else, and we end up improvising a little bit of
Yeah.
dialogue and a little bit of stuff here and there, and things always change and grow. I think it's important. A couple of things come to mind. One of them is, Michael, there's obviously so many different genres that different audiences are attracted to. And I know my strength as a director is working with authenticity in the performances and in the stories and keeping things really, really real and truthful and authentic. And if people want to see that kind of stuff, this is a film for them. And if people aren't really familiar with that kind of stuff, I think people may be surprised in how engaged you can get with characters without, people getting killed or things blowing up or action or, that kind of
Yeah.
eye candy that, we get
Right.
accustomed to. You can get really, really deeply involved in the simple truth of a person trying to deal with conflict in their life and trying to be a better person or trying to forgive somebody they're in conflict with, because these are things we can all truly relate to in the simplest way. And to just bring that around, when I work with Gabe, and the other members of the cast, everybody brings so much of themselves to things. And for me, I've said this many times, but for me, working with Gabe, anything that's dramatic, she'll always find the funny in it. And anything that's funny, she'll find the drama in it. So things get very, very full and very real because life
Yeah.
is complicated, isn't it? It's not, we have genres, comedy, drama, but life is everything at once.
That's right.
So that's what we're going for. And when we premiered the film at the Available Light Festival in Canada, no one in the theater, we played in a big theater, about 400 or 500 people. No one in the theater had ever seen the film. And we won the audience award for most popular Canadian film.
Amazing.
So it really
That doesn't
proved.
surprise me. I think part of the reason your stories are so good is because they're a little more lo-fi, but the character development and the dialogue are so strong. It reminds me a lot of movies I grew up on, watching with my mom and dad, where they didn't have these special effects, not even the ability to do that. So a lot of it was, if you had a good film, it was because here the writing was really good and or the character development was really good, and I think that's something you excel at.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely, Ben. And I love that so much. Really, that is my happy place, like creating and developing characters, right? And telling stories that may seem small in their scope, but they aren't. They're massive because they're about people's hearts and minds and emotions and relationships rather than, yeah, like we're talking about, rather than a bunch of stuff exploding or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That can be really fun too. But this is where I love to work.
I love
Yes.
the opening where you're counseling, and then it ends and it shows, and you don't have the pants on. And,
Yeah.
and I was like, we've all done that. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm
We may be doing,
podcasting, and
we
there's
may be
times
doing that
where
right
Right.
now.
I'm not standing up right
that's right.
now.
No, none of us are standing. So I love that because obviously that caused people some issues because they weren't used to being on
Yeah.
camera like that.
Yeah, there were some pretty infamous things that happened at that time, weren't there, around people forgetting they were on camera. So yeah, we used that sort of idea a few times in the film of just what happens, the intimacy of bringing someone into your home like that.
Yeah.
You know, there was the best one, the best video of the pandemic had to be that guy who was doing that. I think he was doing some sort of, it was a business call, but then his kids came running,
Yeah.
one kid at a time came in, and then his wife came charging in and kind of like that was just, you can't, it's brilliant. Like you can't film anything better than that. It's
No,
just like,
no,
it
and
just doesn't
that
get
was his
any,
life.
just life. Yeah.
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 Well, and I love that Camille Sullivan is involved too.
Ah,
She's been on the show several times. I think she's so funny.
She's
Uh,
amazing.
I love the line where she's talking. I think that's her daughter in the movie, and
Yes.
she's like, "You should start watching porn." Like,
Yeah, well, she says you should look at porn and maybe you'll find out how men really see you. All right. So Camille's character, her name is Jenny. She comes from the 80s and 90s, grew up at that time when, before social media, when if you had a message, you put it out on the street and people were fighting for social change and social justice by physically being there. And her daughter is growing up in the era where, you just like a post or you comment on a post, and maybe if you're really brave, you do your own post. But so many young people are really afraid to have opinions
yeah,
because they're going to get canceled or they're going to not get likes or they're going to, lose their popularity. So, very, very different growing up now in terms of living, in the socio-political world now than it was when I grew up, and that's an important part of the film for sure.
yeah, yeah. I could totally see that, and the rest of the cast is terrific as well. Was it? I'm probably getting the name wrong. Was it Favor?
Favor on Muka, yeah, she plays
Oh,
Muki.
unbelievable! So
Yeah,
good.
we think so too. And Favor's story is interesting in that in the film, again, which we started shooting in 2020, her character speaks of wanting to become a child psychologist
Yeah,
and move away from perhaps from her acting aspirations. And Favor would be here today with us, but she can't because she's a practicing child psychologist now.
really.
She's a counselor, a social worker. I believe it's just her, the term would be counselor for kids. So during the time since we shot and as we've been getting the film out there, she's been studying and getting her degree. And now that's what she's doing. And she's still an actor and she still loves acting, but there's a big world out there. And, a young person has a lot of ambition, and it's very admirable to go after something other than, the acting dream. She's got many ambitions.
That's
So it was
right.
great to see that come true. Great for, all the young actors in the film have really emerged through the pandemic and have been doing really well in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's a tough time for young people, and it could have taken a lot of people down. People lose their opportunity for an in-person education, and they lose genuine friendship making and maybe developing romantic relationships, and they just miss all these
Well, we
opportunities.
don't know what kind of long term effect um, that isolation is going to have on our young people. A lot
Yeah.
of them miss some key development time of being just around other people.
Yes, absolutely. And that's again something that the film is about is how can we emerge from that time and learn from it in a positive way.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, and I enjoyed the different cases that Gabe you're working on, because it kind of struck me because I've got counselors, psychologists within the family,
Mhm.
and
Oh, cool.
it's like everybody you're talking with, though, it was so like modern. The issues that each person was facing is stuff I hadn't really thought of that you would need counseling for. You got the person that's jealous of other influencers because
Mhm.
they're getting more views. And I'm like, that's something that you wouldn't have had to deal with 20 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and even your character, Ben, you're kind of a struggling or maybe a little frustrated filmmaker, and
Yeah.
you're getting some counseling to help you with that, but you keep kind of like trying to cross boundaries,
Hmm.
and getting her to open up to tell you things about other patients and stuff, and you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and also a really important part of the film is Gabe's character's relationship or estrangement from her father. And, this film, in its own little way, it spans a lot of ground and a lot of generations because, seniors in nursing homes, nobody could go visit them.
Yeah,
And, at the beginning of the pandemic, they were I guess all throughout they were the most susceptible to getting sick and
Yeah.
losing their lives, but nobody could go see them. And, people were literally visiting people through a window and just waving.
Yeah.
And so Gabe's character is faced with this difficult relationship with her father and this urgency. I should go see him and connect with him, but this fear of doing that in an unresolved relationship. So I think that, that's another thing that this time in history added to complicate basic human relationship struggles is like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right?
Well,
You
I was still working in the local hospital system back
oh,
then. The podcast really took off, I think, because of 2020, because everybody was home. I didn't get any no's. I reach out,
Yeah. Right.
everybody's
okay,
home
yeah,
looking for something to
sure.
do, and we kind of took off. But before that, I was kind of a patient, ambassador. I talk with patients, but
Oh,
my job during the pandemic was I was the one going around with the phone and connecting people with loved ones that they couldn't talk to. So
oh, wow.
we do the FaceTime and stuff just so they would have a little bit of contact, because a lot of those people, they went into the hospital but they never came back out,
Yeah,
and then their families never got to really say goodbye. It was awful.
yeah.
It was awful. So
Well, so you had,
I dealt with some of that, and I wasn't alone. A lot of people were doing similar things, and it
yeah,
was difficult on those people because you're kind of helpless. You're trying to help, but the best you really can do is a little bit of comfort. And it was just a very difficult time, I think, for everybody. And then the other one I wanted to mention is we had 3 grandbabies born
wow,
um, over that winter
Oh my
spring in
goodness.
2020, and we couldn't see them. Like we'd go and see them through a door,
yeah,
and maybe out in the yard, but you couldn't hold them. It was months, but
yeah,
it took them a little while once we were kind of able to connect for them to connect with everybody else. They knew us.
yeah,
It wasn't like we were having that physical contact, so it took a little while, and I'm sure a lot
yeah.
of people had to deal with that.
Yes, I've heard a lot of those kind of stories. And, Gabe's got a son who was, I guess, going through his, senior year in high school or
Oh
his,
yeah.
No, he was going through seventh grade. So he
oh,
was
was it?
moved from elementary school here in Canada.
Okay.
Or in BC, we go K to 7, and then eighth grade to 12th is considered high school. And so
Oh,
his seventh grade was during COVID. So he didn't
He
have that
missed
year at
his
school.
senior
Yeah, and
year
then
of the
we
lower
had,
level.
yeah,
that's
and
what I
then
meant.
his
Yeah.
graduation was outdoors, and we just had to like walk up and take a photo under some balloons and like leave. Oh, but I think because he was a little bit older and had a really full life here. Well, like we lived in a big city, but we were in the country for a lot of it. And I think that probably really helped him because he could get outdoors a lot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a weird transition for him going from elementary school to high school and missing that entire last year that he was so excited about being the big kid.
Well, yeah, everybody looks
Yeah.
forward to that last year, whatever level you're at, because
Yeah.
you run the school that year.
Yeah. And this year he started university. So it's crazy,
Oh,
right?
that's
Like
awesome.
how
Well, at
time.
least we're back to where they're taking the classes in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of those kids that went to college and had to take it online and didn't do
Yeah.
very
See,
well.
that no, yeah.
Yeah.
So happy that he's there and they're seeing people.
Hopefully, we never go through that again. I remember just trying to find workout equipment.
Hmm.
It's like, because when it first started, you could still go to the gym, and then they shut the gyms down. So you might go to we had a local track. I go to the track to try to run. They shut it down,
Yeah.
and then you couldn't even find dumbbells online.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
know, oh, sorry, Ben.
After you get, please.
Well, what I wanted to say is we got through that time that was incredibly challenging for a lot of people, but I think some of us kind of got stuck in that time when it came to human connection, and I haven't seen kind of a ease from the social media and the connection being through screens all the time
Yeah.
and stuff. And so I just hope I hope obviously that we never go through that again, but I also hope that collectively we can kind of remember to like connect with people, make
I
new
think that's a
connections
really good point because
outside
yeah,
our
because
screens,
that
We're
misconnection, I
so,
think that's part of the trouble we're having.
yes, I completely agree because people are getting, really really led down a lot of different paths in their mind because you're not actually having face-to-face human
Right.
connection with people. You're watching all this stuff and you're learning all this your
Well,
own
when you're isolated,
when you're
it
yeah,
it does
it can
weird
mess
things
with
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
Yeah.
all true. Whenever a conversation like this comes up, still, I'm always reminded of things that aren't in the film we made about that time. And, it really is an endless kind of thing. And if we can, make the conversation something where we can laugh together and acknowledge each other a bit, that's part of the recovery, right? That's
yeah,
part of
totally.
recovering from that time. And yeah, I was just reminded what you guys were saying in that when people, for those 3 years, when people could have the strongest, most reactionary opinions, it's so easy to write something down on social media,
Yeah.
right? And you just kind of are full of reactions and bile and judgment. Um, but let's see you say that to my face,
Right. That's
right?
exactly right.
Let's see people sit down and are they going to be that way, or are they going to have the bravery to do that, the courage to do that, or the empathy to listen,
Yeah.
So I feel like this film, I was really lucky in working with these young people who were willing to share with me and trust me. And the veteran actors like Gabe and Camille and Jen, who have, been in this industry for
Yeah.
a long time and have accomplished a lot, but are still willing to kind of reveal parts of themselves, right?
Yeah.
Reveal the less than charming parts of themselves in a very kind of authentic way. So isn't that how people heal? Just getting real, get authentic. That's what the film's about. We're not gonna kind of get any better if we don't get real. So that's our antidote to it is just truth, right? Truth will
Well,
set you
that's
free.
it. And then it's just on us to make sure that we're actually listening and not, we're real good at talking. We're not the best at listening.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what's the plan for this one, Ben? Or is it coming out video on demand? Or are you doing more festivals? What's the
Well,
release plan?
very shortly we're coming out on video on demand in Canada.
Yeah,
We did, after the Available Light Festival, we released it theatrically here in Vancouver and had a really great run and sold out our screenings
amazing.
and got nominated for a bunch of awards, the Leo Awards or the
Yeah,
British Columbia Film Awards, and a bunch of nominations for Gabe, and I got one, and Natalie, who plays Lennon in the film, she won a Leo for her performance, which was so
Natalie's really
exciting.
good. Yeah,
And we all know like awards, ultimately the audiences are the ones whose opinions matter the most. And if people are enjoying the film in the theater or at home, that's the most. But awards are great because they just show you're in the mix. People are aware of you. You're out there and people have
well,
heard
it
about
also
you.
gives you a little bit of you know free publicity that you
Yeah,
wouldn't
absolutely.
necessarily have without the awards. I don't
Yes.
know that I've ever been like persuaded to go see a movie because it won a bunch of awards, but I've had movies brought to my attention because they've
Yeah.
won awards, and
Yeah.
and then I might go see it.
I think that's true. Well said. And so after that, we're releasing on Canada on VOD on September 30th. So it's on all those different platforms, the cable platforms, and on iTunes and stuff. But we're really excited. We're doing our US premiere in New York in a couple of weeks at the SOHO International Film Festival in New York City. So that's really great because that's one of my favorite places to travel to. And I have family roots in New York, and New York audiences don't mess around. They're
They
not
do
polite. If
not.
they don't like something, they'll tell you.
Is
So
that is that's on the 7th, right?
That one is on the festival starts on the 7th, and our screening is on the 12th, October 12th at 4 p.m. So if anybody is watching your show and is going to be in the New York area, if they just go to sohofilmfest.com, they can get tickets there. And some of us will be there. Unfortunately, Gabe's not going to be able to join us for this one, but hopefully there'll be more in the future because getting the cast back together to, you know, share a screening is always a good feeling.
I think that we're in New York on the 12th, but that's the day we're leaving. I need to take
Oh,
a look because if we can stick around for an extra day, I'll try to come out.
well, that'd be
Oh,
fantastic. That'd be
my.
so cool. Yeah, because there's nothing. I mean, we all know that 95% it feels like of films are seen in people's homes now,
Yeah,
aside from the huge blockbusters. But, of course, for a filmmaker, when the stuff we're talking about in terms of human connection, I know from sitting in the theater with people, especially my films, which are kind of feelings based, less kind of
yeah.
action based and more feelings based. When you watch them with other people, it's a very different experience. You know,
Agree.
it
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
you
because we all love to connect like that. It's things are funnier when more people are laughing. If
yeah,
people get upset, I'm one that I tend to get upset when I see other people get upset. But
yeah, yeah, right.
that experience it's kind of bonds you a little bit, even though you
Yeah,
don't know the people.
It really does. It really is something that has changed a lot again before the pandemic, but especially after,
Yeah.
just people getting together, right? A lot of people will never go back. They just go, no, I'm just don't go out anymore. I don't go do
Well,
things.
there's a lot of introverts out there, and I've always called myself an introvert. If you gave, especially before I did this podcast, if you gave me an excuse to stay at home and just kind of my own devices, I might take it. So I kind of understand it, but
Yeah.
it's not the healthiest. Isolating yourself long term, that's not good for anybody.
mhm.
Yeah, I think we all have to put on our hard pants once in a while. That's what my agent calls, pants that aren't sweatpants. Those are hard pants.
I like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah, I like that. Anything with a zipper or a button, hard
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
but yeah,
absolutely.
we're gonna be in New York. I think what we're out there for. We're going to see David Byrne at Radio City.
Oh,
Oh
wow. Good
yeah,
call. Good
yeah,
call.
yeah,
So
yeah.
his,
Oh, we've been wanting to
Wow.
see him for a while, and it just kind of lined up. So yeah,
that's
I'll
great.
try to do that because I'm pretty sure that's the day we're leaving.
Well, let me know. That'd be so cool. What
Yeah,
what do you know what day his concert is?
his. Well, what day's the 12th? Is that a Sunday?
12th is a Sunday.
Yeah, his is Saturday the 11th, and I
Oh,
think we're flying back Sunday,
oh,
but we could probably fly back
oh, wow.
Monday. I'll take
Wow.
I'll
Well,
take a look.
that'd be
I'd
amazing if
love
you
to
could
I'd
make
love to
that.
come out. That'd be a
That's
blast.
so cool. David Byrne, yeah, me being a teenager in the 80s, that whole Talking Heads
Yeah.
period and Stop Making Sense. When people talk about 80s music, they kind of forget the Talking Heads. I feel like
Yeah,
people
I
talk more
agree.
about the sort of, the more romantic, synthesized sort of stuff,
Yeah.
but the Talking Heads were just kicking ass
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
through the 80s.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah.
he's still amazing.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
so unique, his sound. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited. Now,
that's great.
I think you knew Ben, Gabe, but my wife works for Live Nation, so she's been with him for
Oh,
26 years,
wow.
and
Oh
and
my
we
goodness. You guys must have seen so many
we
incredible
go to a
performances.
lot of shows, a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Which yeah, it's pretty great. It's not in my case, that's a very good perk because she has to do all the work, and then I just
Yeah.
Yes. And you
for the
get to
fun stuff.
go.
What's one of the greatest shows you've seen?
This one I think will surprise you a little bit, and I've seen some really like personal ones to me. I was a big uh, Stevie Wonder fan growing up, and I got to see him in concert, and that
Yeah.
was great. I love Frankie Valli, and I got to
Oh,
see
cool.
him. So those were kind of personal to me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the one that surprised me that I liked it so well was Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know, and
I'd love
I
to see
love her. I think she's
Yeah.
terrific. But I was like, yeah, I'll go. That'll be fine. But then
Yeah.
when I mean, because the audience was so into it,
Yeah.
just the everybody singing along, and just
Yeah.
the experience was so good.
Yeah. She's
Love
very
that.
passionate, isn't she? And I remember seeing her sing uh what it all comes down to. What's that song called? Um it was her biggest hit.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
singing it in my head.
is it
I'm
gonna be
young, but I'm da, da, all that. I remember seeing her sing that song on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
This may sound corny, but I felt like I was watching Bob Dylan sing like a Rolling Stone.
No,
yeah.
that's
Right?
I totally get that. In
Yeah.
concert, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, I
It
felt
just felt
like
like you were part of something.
she's speaking directly
Yeah.
to a whole movement and a whole time in history with that song. She's so powerful. Yeah. And I saw Stevie Wonder in probably in the early 80s. He's incredible.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
He had a stomach flu. So
oh,
he was like an hour and a half late coming out
oh,
on the stage. But then
wow.
once he got out there, I guess he felt bad because he was late.
Yeah,
And at that point, he came out probably about 8:30. I think it was supposed to start at 7.
yeah,
And at midnight, he was still playing.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was at midnight, I was like, I love Stevie Wonder, but I'm so tired. I was like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
and
gotta
we're
go to bed.
walking out, and he's doing covers of Michael Jackson songs
Wow.
as we're leaving. I don't know how late he ended up playing. Just
The
amazing.
adrenaline kicked in
Wow.
and he
Yeah,
couldn't stop, right? That's
yeah,
cool.
it was amazing. We saw Hugh Jackman at Radio City back in
Oh,
June, and he
huh.
was
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. Well, when are you going to get to see him, performing like that, where he's just singing, songs from his shows, and
Yeah.
he did Neil Diamond. It was really good.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
It was really good. One of the things that I love about both of you as actors is that you were in all the shows that I loved back in the 90s, early 2000s. You did so many of the sci-fi and the
Yeah.
X-Files and some of those shows.
Yeah.
Love that. Ben, I think you did a Highlander with.
That was one of the early things I did. Being based in Vancouver, and we've both Gabe and I have lived in other places during our acting careers. I think Gabe, you've lived in Los Angeles, New York, Vancouver, Toronto. I spent
Yes.
time in a few years in Los Angeles, but with probably the majority of our formative years in Vancouver, all those shows were shooting here,
I know.
and it was a
Yeah,
great.
we grew up, you know, doing those shows. They were all,
I know. I'm a little jealous of that. Not that I could have acted in any of them, but I would have been cool to be in the area when all that was going on. And they
We
still
yeah.
didn't.
do a ton of
Yeah.
sci-fi stuff there.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't know how good we had it really. I mean, it was just kind of the way it was. And now, with production, just everything being different in the film and TV industry, we're of course hoping that more production
Yeah.
stays in Vancouver, comes back, but we know that like people in Los Angeles, they need to get their hands on some work.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
Los Angeles is kind of rough right now. We were out there not too long ago, and it's looking better. I mean, it's recovering,
yeah,
but a lot of people struggling out there.
Yeah.
The industry hadn't really bounced all the way back yet.
yeah, for sure. And a lot of our cast members, Natalie, she's on set today shooting something. I'm not sure what. And Gabe just finished a series not long ago. I don't know if you can talk about that, Gabe, or if it's still top secret.
No, yeah, not yet, just because I don't have any info on the release date or anything yet. So I'm kind of waiting until
Will we
that.
see it in the States?
Yes, you will.
Ooh, okay.
100%.
Can you
Yeah.
give us the genre?
Limited series.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's
Gabe,
a
I should
drama.
mention my oldest.
Drama. Yeah,
Oh,
drama.
drama. Okay, yeah.
Drama.
My oldest, my daughter, said to make sure I brought up Good Witch. That she
Oh,
loved you on the Good Witch. So I was like, okay, I'll
oh,
bring it up.
tell her thank you. That's so nice.
We
What's your
always
daughter's
play
name?
that. What? I'm sorry.
Your daughter's name?
Oh, it's Ashley.
Ashley. Say hi to Ashley for
I
me.
will. I always play that game with them when I've got people coming on. I'll go and I'll be like, "What have you seen this person in?"
Right.
And a lot of times they'll be like, "I don't know," but yeah, she knew right away. That was
Cool. Aw.
yeah.
Hmm.
She's kind of a Hallmark girl, though.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Hallmark over the years.
Yeah.
They really are robust in their production.
That's kind of the way it is here, Michael, is back in my time when I started in the early 90s acting, you were mostly either killing people or being killed.
And I
You
was a
know, that's,
girl, a woman, so unfortunately I was being killed a lot.
they were crime shows and sci-fi, but a lot of crime. Stephen J. Cannell shows, uh, Cannell shows, I should say, and I played a lot of bad guys and got beat up a lot and shot a lot and all that kind of stuff. And now actors make their living baking cookies on Hallmark.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cookie and muffin based
yeah.
stories going on and a huge fan base. And those shows, they have such loyal fans. They're like sci-fi fans, the sci-fi
Well,
fans.
it's like comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
totally.
you know that whatever you're watching, at the end of it, it's going to have a happy ending. So that it takes the
Yeah.
stress out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, great to see how many actors and crew members, directors, everybody in the industry has been able to, hang on through the tough times because of the loyalty of those fans. So
Yeah.
we're always very aware of that here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they do a lot of conventions in Canada? You have many of the comic book or pop culture conventions?
They do
I
some.
think they do some, but not to the scale that they are in the United
Yeah.
States. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so big here.
Hmm.
And they just and more of them just keep popping up. But it does uh, give actors a way to make some extra revenue in between stuff. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I love the idea of fans being able to get together and like have like a, get chat with each other and be able to see some of the characters that they really love. I mean, it's a really sweet idea.
Yeah,
I owned a couple of comic book stores back in the 90s.
cool.
I put myself through college doing that
Wow.
and just loved it. And my favorite time was Wednesday afternoons because that was new comic day. So that's when the new comics came in. But everybody would show up at the store
Huh.
and they were so polite. They just showed up so they could talk about things that they
Huh.
loved. And they were patient. They'd be there for hours waiting because you have to count in all the books, and sort them and before you can sell any of them. So they had to wait. So polite. I just love that atmosphere. And that's a comic convention when you
That's
go
cool.
and you're around. That's how those 95% of them, that's how they are. And it's just it's a great community. And especially because you get a lot of people that are introverted or socially they have some issues,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but when they go there they fit in, they feel
Yeah.
comfortable. I love the
Yeah.
atmosphere with
Me
those.
too. I once freeloaded with Jen at a convention she was invited to in Prague.
Oh yeah.
And so we got to go over there and we were staying in Prague and that was, a great experience. And then they said, okay, now today's the convention day. And we got in a car to drive to the convention. We didn't know. We drove for about like an hour and a half and we were in a little town. I believe it's pronounced Hotobor. And that's where we ended up going to the convention and staying there for a couple of days. And it's just like you said, it was all those people who all had that sort of common love for those sci-fi stories
Yeah.
where anything is possible, right? They all love these worlds where you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
And so you see people with, physical challenges and sometimes uh, mental disabilities,
Yeah.
and everybody gets together and treats each other well, and everybody's on an even playing field. And I guess that's kind of the spirit of the best sci-fi, isn't it? That,
It is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My husband's a real sci-fi dork. Like he wanted to become an actor because of Star Trek. He
Mm.
like,
I
yeah,
love that.
he loves.
I mean, you can't get any better than Star Trek, the original, because
Yeah.
it was so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Especially with the social economics,
Yeah.
where it really,
Yeah, he loved that.
yeah, I did too. It didn't inspire me to become an actor, but I
Mhm.
just love it.
Well, having a couple of comic book shops when you're a young guy is pretty cool, though. That's
Yeah,
like,
that's super
it
cool.
oh, it was the best. It was
Mhm.
the best, and it worked great right up until I got married and had a family, and it was terrific as a college guy. Great living.
Yeah.
Not the best when you had to raise a family with it. And then
Right.
Marvel, people forget Marvel went bankrupt in 1996, and I thought it was over. I was like, time to close.
Oh,
And of course,
Wow.
they sold everything off. That's why everything's kind of separated. They don't have control over all their stuff, but they obviously they came back and did pretty well.
Yeah.
do you remember prices? Like, what's the most expensive comics? Like, would it be like Superman #1 or something? Are those the ones
Well,
that are?
yeah, I think the one is it's either Action Comics #1, which was first Superman, or Marvel Comics #1, which was like the first Marvel superhero comics. Which it was actually Marvel was called Timely Comics, but the comic was actually called Marvel Comics and had like Human Torch or something on the front of it. Those two, I mean, they'll go for millions if you can find a copy. It's kind of crazy how expensive.
Wow.
And like I was a collector growing up, so I really enjoyed the search, trying to find certain issues. But you don't have to do that anymore. If you want something and you're willing to pay for
Go
it,
online and
go online and it's there. It
Yeah.
the internet kind of killed collecting, at least for me. But if you're just a fan and you want something, you can go get it.
Yeah. Well, with that in mind, in our film, there's a scene where I give a magazine to one of the characters as a gift. And that was a magazine called Avant-Garde, which was kind of a huge counterculture magazine in the 70s.
Yeah.
And there were stacks of, well, a small stack of them in my parents' house. And I don't know what they're worth, but I had always sort of coveted them. They have articles with people like, everyone from Andy Warhol to
Oh yeah.
political people, counterculture people, Abby Hoffman and Muhammad Ali did one. And so we used that magazine in the film. I dug it up and I give it to him. And, you're supposed to get clearance on everything before you
Right.
shoot, right? That's the smart thing to do.
Right.
But when you're shooting this kind of film, you just kind of move fast and you don't have time and funds for all those legal clearances. So we shot it, used the magazine, and then, our legal rep said we have to get clearance. So our producer, Bernie, spent quite a bit of time tracking down who had the rights to that long defunct
Right.
magazine. It'd been decades since anybody
Yeah.
had talked about this. So he found the children of the owners and sent them a clip from the film in which the magazine is given. And they wrote back this beautiful email saying it had really like brought up so many great memories for them
Love that.
of that time and that place in the world. So, now we have like endless movies and films and clips at our disposal. But isn't there something amazing and special about a dusty old comic or a
Yes.
dusty old
that makes me
magazine,
want to cry. That's like beautiful.
That
That's
is beautiful.
gorgeous. And that, and
Just being able to hold something in your hands, right?
yeah.
Like it's such a special thing. So yeah, it's something we've lost over the years for the most part, but I guess there's still you must have some of your favorites still
I've still
stored
got some of
away.
mine. Yeah, I got rid of a lot of them. Being honest, I closed the store. My wife at the time we got divorced. I paid off when there was no internet yet, so I went on, or it was just getting started. But eBay was big.
Okay, yeah.
There was no Amazon, I guess I should have said, but eBay was big. So I sold it on Amazon, paid off our mortgage and debts, and so
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah, at least we got came out of the divorce without any
Carrying a
yeah.
bunch.
So
Yeah.
to me
That's
that was
great.
kind of worth getting rid of but I kept a few.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Just for just for me. And I've always regretted closing because I closed before my son was born. And it was my son's idea to do this podcast, and the whole idea behind it was we wanted to do something father and son to connect because we missed out on that time with the comic store. So that's how the podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
very cool.
Well, so Ben and Gabe, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time today. The movie is Are We Done Now? So it'll be on demand on the 30th, right, in Canada.
On demand in Canada. News to follow about when it will be on demand in the US.
That's right.
And yeah, we're really looking forward to that US premiere. And who knows, maybe if your schedule works out, we'll see you there.
I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm gonna give it a good shot. But before we wrap up, let's start with you, Gabe. If you could go through, if you have, I know we can't talk about the drama that you're doing, but is there anything else that you're working on that we can kind of keep an eye out for?
You know what? I actually have had a really beautiful miracle happen in my life. My mother, who is my best friend, 2 months ago, suffered a major brain aneurysm and major brain bleed, and so the past 2 months I've really been just focusing on her. She just returned home from the hospital. I'm sitting in part of the house that we built her. Our house is over there. So really, what I'm focusing on right now is just like being with my beautiful mother. And yeah, she is doing great. That woman is such a powerhouse. I'm like blown away by her. But having said that, I am, when things get settled, I'm going to be working on finding my next project. But yeah, that's been my kind of main focus recently.
Well, yeah, and it should be. Yeah, you gotta take care of your mother.
Yeah, she's the best.
Where can we find you on social media?
I am only on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think it's Gabrielle Miller 1. G Miller 1 is my Instagram
G
handle.
Miller 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. It came right up when I was looking. Well, Ben, how about you? Are you working on anything that we can keep an eye out for?
Well, I've got my acting studio, Haven Acting Studio here in Vancouver, and so, we that keeps me very busy teaching there and helping to run the place, and it's a kind of the creative center of my life. And yeah, working on the next movie, and I've been doing this long enough to start to know just play it, don't say it, right?
That's right.
Like when things are really moving and really happening, you'll be hearing about it. But right now I'm in that long writing process.
That's right.
And you just kind of got to put your head down and keep taking steps every day toward the goal. But yeah, that's my first love is creating stuff, and the acting and all that is something I still love to do, but self-created projects is my main focus. And just like Gabe says, living life and focusing on the important things in life other than chasing the dream like we spent so many decades doing when we were kids. And yeah, just living with kind of gratitude, looking out the window here, the beautiful city we live in, and just, trying to enjoy every day, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to be. Does Jen help you with the acting studio?
Jen is probably the world's greatest proofreader. So when she has time and we're doing our social media and our mail outs and all that stuff, Jen is just a phenomenal proofreader. She'll pick up things that no one sees.
Well, that's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It is.
That's one of her many gifts.
I love her so much.
Jen and I, we do work together. I was just speaking with her this morning, kind of bouncing some ideas around for something she's shooting on her show. But the studio is something we try to keep separate in our lives because, living together, if we're working on the studio together and living together and sometimes doing projects together, there's just no separation in your life. Like everything becomes one thing, and it could start.
Everybody needs a little bit of that individual time.
Totally. Yeah.
Jen's an only child. She needs lots.
That's right.
She needs her time without me breathing down her neck about work, right?
Yeah. Ben, where can we find you on social media?
I have an Instagram called the Ben Immanuel, and my studio is on at Haven Acting. And that's about it for me for social media. And of course, Are We Done Now? AWDN_film. That's our little Instagram that we've just started up for the movie. So yeah.
Be great to follow that because updates on US and that sort of thing.
Yeah. We definitely want everybody to follow that one. And I mean, just coming from somebody that just watched it, I finished it this morning. It's terrific. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was it just It was just a nice movie. You know, I sat down, I had to have my breakfast, watch the movie. I just felt good at the end of it. I thought it was
Well,
really, really good.
we appreciate you having us on and making time to look at the movie and the positive energy. We're really glad to spend a little time with you.
Well, yeah, of
Me,
course.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's so great to meet you, and I had a fantastic time chatting with
Well,
you,
I'm so
fellas.
glad that you
Good
came.
times.
Yeah, yeah, you'll have to come on by yourself one of these times.
Absolutely, anytime.
Well, Ben will tell you, I'll wear you out with my knowledge of your resume.
Well, I just love having full conversations. You know, it's nice to.
It is nice. You know, those interviews are terrific, and you need those. But I prefer to have those conversations because you still get the same information. It just comes across better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just nice. Okay, hold on
absolutely.
1 second. You know, one of the great joys of this podcast for me, and there's a lot of them. There's some aggravations too, but most of it's joy. But one of the great joys is the connections that I have been able to make with people that come on the show. You know, I've said this many times, but I would put we're just a little father and son podcast team, but I would put our guest list up against any other show, podcast, talk show, radio show, anything. We have been so blessed with the terrific guests that we get. Ben is one of those. He is one of the most talented writers that I've had the privilege to talk to. Absolutely, he's a really good actor too. I mean, he's strong. I don't have time to run through all his stuff, but I just wanted to mention some of them that I watched when he was really getting started. Because they all fall into that the genres that I love: sci-fi, comedy, a little bit of drama in there too. But Ben was on Becker, he was on Highlander, he was on Mantis, Sliders, Poltergeist, Continuum, Eureka. My stepdaughter is currently watching Eureka on Amazon. That's such a great show. Stargate, Dead Zone, Smallville. I mean, those are all nerdy shows. And then he's had a whole career after that too. Love Ben. His movie Downriver, which stars Gabrielle, is just amazing. It's just really, really good movie, and it won a lot of awards. It's probably been 10 or 12 years since that one was out. This one, Are We Done Now, is his third feature film, and he's so talented. Please go see it. Give Ben your support. Gabrielle Miller, I was thrilled. I'm such a fan of hers. I was so happy that she came on today. And I've been saying Gab, it may be Gabrielle Miller. I should have asked. Those that watch the show, I am the worst about mispronouncing names, and I that's a defect that I absolutely have tried to improve on, because people deserve to hear their name the way it's meant to be said. So I try, but with the Southern accent, the issues that I have with the Parkinson's, a lot of times I struggle pronouncing things anyway. That doesn't have anything to do with Gabrielle, but it's just, I don't know. That's just me. That's something I struggle with. But Gabrielle Miller, she is so good. If you ever get a chance to watch the show and a movie called Corner Gas, unbelievable. She's so good in it. Absolutely loved her. And I think she was on Highlander as well, and Stargate and X-Files. I loved her episode of Frasier, which came near the end of the series. I rewatched Frasier before the new one came back. So I saw that episode not too long ago, and it's still really good. And of course, Goodwitch, all of them, Ben, Gabe, Jen, were in a show called Trigger Me, that I'm pretty sure Ben wrote that one too. Just terrific, just terrific. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. I'm so happy that you're here. I love having kind of panel interviews, and there was just 2 this time. You know, I've done as many as 10, and I just have the best time on those. They're so fun. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you for being here. Love to have your support. Easy to do. It's free. We never ask for any money. We just want your subscriptions. You know, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. Really does help us out. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find over 1,000 episodes on there, audio and video versions. If we're doing anything in studio, like watching Are We Done Now? If we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, if we're going to the SOHO Film Festival, it'll be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. It's been a real pleasure. Till next time. Bye, everybody.